Richard F. Burton, for the years 1821 to 1861, had lived a life like no other. He had been history's preeminent explorer and was driven beyond anyone in his desire to understand culture. I have shown these efforts in the 2 previous episodes, which correspond to the first half of his life. This all changed as he fell in love. Richard and Isabel were married in 1861. He was now 40 years old and changed his habits from near constant expeditions and wanderings around the world to wandering around a base. In doing this, Burton then turned his career to foreign affairs and would accept numerous diplomatic positions around the world. He would continue to explore, often abandoning his appointment duties, and instead would learn about local areas. His first diplomatic appointment was off the coast of West Africa in 1862. Little exploration had occurred there by the West because of malaria. Quinine medicine would change this in the 1870s. Malaria, as on other trips, did not stop Richard. He was most excited about visiting Cameroon country with 2 trips to guerrilla lands. His prolific writings continued, with 5 books on the people and the cultures of West Africa. He studied cannibals, climbed mountains, explored rivers, including the Niger and the Congo. This was 30 years before Joseph Conrad was stationed there. Conrad would use Richard's writings and his own experiences in the Congo for his classic novel, Heart of Darkness. The 1970s acclaimed film Apocalypse Now is based on this. Richard explored what are today the 7 countries located along the Gulf of Guinea and the 2 Congos, the Republic of Congo and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The next assignment was to Brazil in 1865. There, he would study the native populations, do archaeological searches, and take a 1,500-mile trip along the South Francisco, by himself, the 4th longest river in South America. In 1868-69, he was asked to take trips to Paraguay to report on the war there. By the end, 2 years later, 80% of Paraguay's population had died in battle or by starvation. A second trip to Paraguay, he would cross the continent of South America to the city of Arica, then part of Peru, now part of northern Chile. A trip I have done, but in the reverse. He then sailed from Arica down the entire coast of Chile, through the Straits of Magellan, 2,400 miles to the south, then back to London. This was followed by an appointment to Damascus from 1869 to 71, where he visited every known place in Syria, gathering great amounts of archaeological, anthropological information. He was recalled from assignment as his life was constantly being threatened. Throughout his travels, he often pursued by those wishing to kill him. This is not an uncommon thing, as it seems there has always been a lack of appreciation for travelers. He would shrug off any concern and joke about the inability of those who could not complete the task of ending his life. Burton was sent to Iceland in 1872 by a company to explore sulfur mining possibilities. While there, he of course took extensive notes, mapped, and gathered local statistics. He wrote a 2-volume compilation on this. He was stationed in Trieste later that year, which was part of the Austria-Hungary Empire. Today, it is part of northeastern Italy, next to the country of Slovenia. Shortly after that, he made his way to Morocco. Like all other places, he wrote extensively on the people, their customs, and place. From 1874 to 6, Burton's duties took him back to Damascus, Syria. From there, he ventured to Palestine, then on to Pakistan, India, and back to Cairo, Egypt. In 1879, while in Alexandria, Egypt, he was hit on the head from the back by thieves. He fought them off, being bruised and bloodied by the incident. Burton wrote Qasida in 1880, a long poem which he tried to popularize Sufism. He claims to have interpreted this from Farsi, the language of Iran, but he actually wrote it himself. The next year he returned to West Africa. This was to the Gold Coast, so named because of the tremendous amount of gold that had been mined over the centuries inland. The gold here was partly responsible for the wealth of Mansa Musa from the Kingdom of Mali, often considered the wealthiest man in history. I will soon do an episode on Mansa. While there, Richard reported on a number of unknown species of plants. Also, on the gold industry, diamonds, sapphires, and rubies found locally. He climbed various mountains, giving an account of the geology and ecology at different altitudes. He wrote constantly, at every sitting on his journeys, never growing tired of it, publishing 43 volumes on his travels and 30 volumes of translations. Later in life, he would be so absorbed in his writings that medical attendants would have to remind him to eat. When he did, he would quickly down his food to return to his writings, working from morning to night each day, just as he had ambitiously lived his life of exploration. His Persian and Arab notes were all lost in a fire. He wrote constantly at every sitting on his journeys, never growing tired of it, publishing 43 volumes on his travels and 30 volumes of translations. Later in life, he would be so absorbed in his writings that medical attendants would have to remind him to eat. When he did, he would quickly down his food to return to his writings, working from morning to night each day, just as he had ambitiously lived his life of exploration. His Persian and Arab notes were all lost in a fire. Richard, as much as anything, was known for his translations. He is best known for Arabian Nights in a 17-volume set, which he introduced stories such as Aladdin, Sinbad, to the West, but also the 4th century Indian book, Kama Sutra, about living well, which had caught the attention of Victoria, England, with its eroticism. Other translations include numerous books from Arabic, Persian, and Indian languages, a 6-volume set of the 16th century Portuguese poet Louis de Camacho, Latin poems, Vikram the Vampire, ancient Sanskrit tales of India, and a number of others. His translations were of books most telling of the places and which they were from. He also wrote a book on Etruscan Bologna. The Etruscans were the culture that existed in northern Italy before and during the early development of the Roman Empire. Richard's death came in 1890. There are periods of his wanderings in which virtually nothing is known, including through the American South and the wilds of South America. Isabella, his wife, burned much of what he wrote, but also edited a lot of Richard's writings after his death. She was bipolar about his writings, at times fascinated and others in contempt and outrage. He seemed to have bipolar traits as well. He was an extreme introvert or extreme extrovert at times, almost saintly, and other times he showed an obvious bitterness towards mankind. In 1886, Queen Victoria knighted Richard for his service to the United Kingdom. She anointed him the most distinguished order of St. Michael and St. George. A childhood of moving around certainly piqued Richard's curiosity to no place. But why so much? Why did he have to know virtually everything about a place? Why could he not resist exploring to the extent he did? I believe if we accept such things as inherently part of someone, then we don't progress. We don't learn. If we believe Richard was just born to be an explorer, then lessons of what his life was are meaningless. It is important to consider as a perspective how a person becomes what they become. The recurrent thoughts which drove, inspired, and caused them to more fully see the world as it is, to better understand it. Such perspectives can be incorporated into one's own beliefs. If you try to adopt Richard's curiosity for the world, then your skills will develop in this direction. And it doesn't have to be about exploration, but anything that you wish to improve. We can learn curiosity, process, and drive from any of those who approached their potential. So I challenge you, each time you hear a story about someone like Richard Burton, ask what insights you can adopt for your own life. The next episode will be part 1 of 3 in areas we have greatly underachieved as a society. If you like the content of this channel, please subscribe and like each of the videos, as that helps the algorithms. Thank you so much for watching.